Hi, everyone. This is Ed Thompson. I live in Greensboro, North Carolina, and I work with Single Purpose Ministries. First and foremost, we are passionate about relationships, and the ones we are most passionate about are the ones between us and God through Jesus Christ, us with one another, and then us within ourselves. We were designed to have great relationships with all three of these types. And today we're going to talk a little bit about what happens when things go awry. Before we do, I want to quickly say that I'm looking forward to investing time and energy into a ministry that I mentioned last week with young children in elementary school. It's called Child Evangelism Fellowship. We have a chance to go in and make friends and love on elementary school boys and girls, and have the honor and privilege to share Jesus Christ through the gospel. So with all that said, it ties in to what I'm going to say now. This past week, a man urged me to watch a documentary called This Social Dilemma, or The Social Dilemma. I watched it up to about half of it, and then I couldn't take any more. I was very disturbed. I saw the facts from just one segment of society, and let's take that segment: preteen and teenage girls addicted, socially addicted to social media. So I want to take those girls and tell you what the documentary said about this horrible epidemic. Number one, suicides are on a rate higher than ever. They're tracing it right back to this. So are depressions. So are anxiety attacks and low self-esteem. These young girls are actually getting emotionally abused, physically abused because of the anxiety, and intellectually or mentally abused because there's bullying on there, and there's so many things that happen on a social media platform. So I mention all that to you, and now I'm going to pull back and say I'm not going to another gender or another type or age group. That's quite enough to tell you that I am concerned that when I go into the schools in a couple of weeks, that I'll encounter this. Little girls can't wait to check how many likes and shares and how many things their social media is pulling them into. So with that said, I'm turning the page. I turned off the documentary. I lay back on the couch and closed my eyes and said, Father, if I'm actually going to be in front of people like this who don't have relationships because of the addiction that they do have, the use of this social media, how am I going to ever be able to talk to them on a level that would form a good relationship? And I got a little upset thinking, oh man, this is going to be very difficult. It wasn't a few minutes later that a thought came to my mind, and it came out of the Bible, Old Testament, the book of 2 Chronicles, not exactly the most read book, but I know I had read in chapter 20 a story about a man who was disturbed and up against it, and he was kind of asking the Lord the same things I was. So I thought to myself, perhaps I'll share this today, and I am, with you folks, and I'm going to read through about a man named Jehoshaphat. He was the king of God's people in Judah, where Jerusalem is. And these people were about to be accosted by three major enemies who were not planning to take prisoners. This had Joshua very upset, of course, because the people were just in confusion and disarray. And here's what Joshua did about it. I think you're going to enjoy this. It's just a little long, but it's not too long. So just enjoy, please. It begins in verse 1 of chapter 20. After this, the armies of the Moabites, the Ammonites, and the people of Mount Seir declared war on Jehoshaphat. Messengers came and told Jehoshaphat, a vast army from Edom is marching against you beyond the Dead Sea. They've already come to the town of En-Gedi. Jehoshaphat was terrified by the news. He begged the Lord for guidance. He also ordered everyone in Judah to begin fasting. So people from all towns of Judah came to Jerusalem to seek the Lord's help. Jehoshaphat stood before the community of Judah and Jerusalem in front of the new courtyard at the temple of the Lord. He prayed, O God of our ancestors, you alone are the God who is in heaven. You are the ruler of all the kingdoms of the earth. You are powerful and mighty. No one can stand against you. O our God, did you not drive out those who lived in this land when your people, Israel, had arrived? And did you not give this land forever to the descendants of your friend Abraham? Your people settled here and built this temple to honor your name. They said, whenever we are faced with any calamity, such as war, plague, famine, we can come to stand in your presence before this temple where your name is honored. We can cry out to you to save us, and you will hear us and rescue us. And now, what seems like the armies of Ammon and Moab and Mount Seir are doing, and you would not let our ancestors invade those nations as we left Egypt to come to Israel. So we didn't destroy them, and now see how they're rewarding us, for they have come to throw us out of your land, which you gave us as an inheritance. O God, won't you stop them? We are powerless against this mighty army that is about to attack us. We do not know what to do, and we are asking for your help. Then King Jehoshaphat bowed low with his face to the ground, and all the people of Judah and Jerusalem did the same, worshiping the Lord. Then the Levites came from the clans of Kohath and Korah and stood to praise the Lord, the God of Israel, with a very loud shout. Early the next morning, the army of Judah went out to the wilderness of Tekoa. On the way, Jehoshaphat stopped and said, listen to me, all you people of Judah and Jerusalem. Believe in the Lord your God, and you will be able to stand firm. Believe in his prophets, and you will succeed. After consulting the people, the king anointed and appointed singers to walk ahead of the army, singing to the Lord and praising him for his holy splendor. This is what they sang: give thanks to the Lord, his faithful love endures forever. At the very moment they began to sing and give praise, the Lord caused the armies of Ammon, Moab, and Mount Seir to start fighting among themselves. The armies of Moab and Ammon turned against their allies from Mount Seir and killed every one of them. After they had destroyed the army of Seir, they began attacking one another. So when the army of Judah arrived, the lookout point in the wilderness, all they saw were dead bodies lying on the ground as far as they could see. Not a single one of the enemy had escaped. King Jehoshaphat and his men went out to gather the plunder. They found vast amounts of equipment, clothing, and other valuables, more than they could carry. There was so much plunder, it took them 3 days just to collect it. On the 4th day, they gathered in the Valley of Blessing, which got its name that day because the people praised and thanked the Lord. It is still called the Valley of Blessing to this day. Then all the men returned to Jerusalem with Jehoshaphat leading them. They were overjoyed the Lord had given them victory over their enemies. They marched into Jerusalem to the music of harps, lyres, trumpets, and they proceeded to the temple of the Lord. When all the surrounding kingdoms heard the Lord himself had fought against the enemies of Israel, the fear of God came all over them. So Jehoshaphat's kingdom was at peace, for God had given him rest on every side. I love that. To have rest or peace on every side, think about that. It's a good place to be. What I want to talk to you to finish up on today, and thank you for listening to that. I hope you'll go and read it whenever you're led to do so. I've come away with 4 things that I've learned from that passage. In light of what Jehoshaphat obeyed and walked by faith, God has said this to me. Ed, those little girls you are going to relate to and teach, they're mine. And I want you to do your part only and walk with them, showing them the love that you desire to show them. But just remember, they're in my care. Number 2, Ed, this is my battle. How we encounter these little girls, I'm going to do it. And I want you to be faithful as you walk with me in doing it. Lean on my strength. And Ed, please pray about this every day. Come to me and pray about it. I'll open doors just the way I did in the passage you just read. So folks, I'm not disturbed anymore. I'm excited. I hope you have some hope if you're facing something such as the inauguration tomorrow. We don't know what's going to happen, but I know a lot of anxious people, and I know a lot of people that are going to listen to the Lord to bring them hope no matter what happens. I'm excited. I want you all to be excited as you meet with me next week, and we're going to continue with relationships, going deeper, and just me enjoying you folks. Now, I'm going to finish on this, bring up another thing I'm into right now. One must keep their Spanish for Dummies book close by. And I just want to say, folks, it is going very well there, and I'm not even sure why it's all going to go well, but we will see. God's leading. Love you all. See you next week. Take care.